Hey everyone, Colorwind here with another episode of My Gaming Landscape, covering the games that I've played and the games that I've acquired between June 17th and July 4th of 2019. This is going to be a bit of a short episode as I don't have a whole lot that I need to say, but it might be a little bit longer because I do have an announcement about the future of this show at the end of the episode, so please continue to listen until then. Let's start things off with the games that I've been playing, and the first game that I have to talk about is the SNK 40th Anniversary Collection. I rented this from Gamefly because I wasn't entirely sure if I would be playing the kind of games that were included in the collection. I mostly know SNK for their fighting game material, which is something that they did not start making until Fatal Fury in 1991, I believe, or 92. However, the 40th Anniversary Collection only covers the games that they made from the inception of the company, which was in the 70s to 1990, which I believe the last game was Crystalis, which is literally the only game that I'm really familiar with, other than Akari Warriors, that is. So I gave this collection a shot, and out of the 25 games or so that are included in the collection, I like about half of them, about 13 to 15 of them. There are some like Aero Fighters which are a lot of fun and hold up to this day, and then there's some like Akari Warriors, which I mentioned, which just feels archaic and frustrating now. But since I like the games, more than half the games on the collection, I do think I'm going to pick it up eventually. I sent it back to Gamefly because I just wanted to know if this collection had enough games for me that I was interested in. Now that I know, I think I will pick it up once it's on sale, and when I have more time to play it, as I'm kind of busy with some other games, which I'll get to. Next, I want to talk about Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which I decided to start playing again. I believe I mentioned this last time, in the last episode. Well, since then I've completed Sonic's campaign, Knuckles' campaign, and Tails' campaign. I've decided not to do a run with Sonic by himself. I did the one where he's being followed with Tails, simply because there's no difference in there. You really only need to do that for faux completionist's sake, and I say faux because you don't get anything special for doing that. It's just kind of to round out that you completed the game with every single possible combination. We know it doesn't actually matter. Kind of like how most fighting games don't care if you've beaten the game with every single character. But I digress. I do want to say that the game is still fantastic, and while I think I will play Sonic Mania pretty soon just to be sure, currently I feel that Sonic 3 and Knuckles is a slightly better game than Sonic Mania, mostly because the ending is far better than what is in Sonic Mania. The Titanic Monarch level and the final boss fight in that game is just not as good as Death Egg and the giant mech thing that they have as the final boss fight. And then especially if you're playing as Sonic and you have all of the Chaos Emeralds and Super Emeralds flying through space on the Doomsday zone. Flying through space in Super Zone, it's just so cool. It's just so great. Moving on, I played through Banjo-Kazooie. I completed the game. Still a lot of fun, a lot easier than I thought it was. At the same time, also a lot harder. Losing all your notes when you die is brutal. That happened to me a couple of times toward the end, and it pretty much meant that I had to do almost the entire level all over again. Even though it saves the amount of puzzle pieces that you've collected, the honeycombs, and something else. But either way, that part of the game is still quite brutal, and it's especially noticeable in the second to last episode, Rusty Bucket Bay, which most people know is the hardest level in the game, and unnecessarily so because there are far too many times in that level that can instantly kill you, or kill you very easily. But nonetheless, I went through it, finished it, 100%ed it. Still a classic, and I feel good for having played it. I played a bit more Final Fantasy VII, but not much. I'm gonna give up on that playthrough because I'm just not into it anymore. I was hyped because of the announcement of Final Fantasy VII Remake at this year's E3, but the moment has kind of passed, and now I just don't feel like playing it, so I'm gonna move on. Same thing kind of can be said about Phantasy Star 2. I was playing that on my phone, but to be perfectly honest, the Android port that is on my phone kind of sucks. It's the official Sega version where it comes included with Phantasy Star 3 and 4, and it's just not a good port. It has slowdown issues and audio garbling, and it takes way too long to load the actual thing, meaning that you can't really just like play it a little bit and then just, you know, turn your phone off and then come back to it later. So I'm just going to stop playing it because I'd rather play that game on a version that's actually going to be competent. I went back to Injustice 2 because I have not played Mortal Kombat 11 in actually a little while. I actually did not play Mortal Kombat 11 throughout this entire session that I chose for this gaming landscape. I wanted to go to Injustice 2 and see that if that game is more grindy or can be cheated out the way that Mortal Kombat 11 has, you know, just by having all the Towers of Time done by the AI character for the most part. And while it is, the AI in Injustice 2 doesn't seem to be as good, so it's not really a given that they'll always win. And secondly, because that game runs off of essentially loot boxes, it is so much worse because you never can be working towards something that you actually want. It's bad enough that in K11 the towers are randomized, but in this, the towers are randomized, the gear is randomized, the rewards are randomized. It's just so much worse, and it kind of off-puts me of the game just in that regard. The combat itself is obviously still fantastic, but yeah, it's just the way that the game is structured. It's kind of too bad. Next up, I played Darksiders War Mastered Edition. Don't have a whole lot to say about this other than I'm glad that I came back to it for my stream playthrough that I'm doing. I haven't played it since I believe February. It's been quite a while. But I'm trying to get back into streaming, and that was one of the games that I had started a playthrough of, and I'm going to focus on finishing that. Finally, we have Rage 2, which is the game that I rented from GameFly after the SNK 40th Anniversary Collection. And I've only played about 2 to 3 hours of it so far. And my thoughts right now are, it feels a bit too much like Borderlands. Now, I like Borderlands, but at the same time, I can just play Borderlands instead of this. I'm going to give it a bit more time because the shooting feels good and the abilities that they're giving you kind of seem like fun. But right now it's not entirely grabbing me, but I want to give it more time before I make a final decision on what I think about that game. And that's what I've been playing for the past 2.5 weeks or so. As for the games that I've purchased, it's a relatively big list as there have been some good sales going on recently. I got Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy on the PS4, Shenmue 1 and 2 also on the PS4, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles on the Xbox 360, Sonic Unleashed on the Xbox 360, Sonic Adventure 2 on the Xbox 360, Sega Genesis and Mega Drive Classics on Steam. I managed to get every single game in that package. There was a sale somewhere for everything for like $7 or something, so I got it. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on the PlayStation 4, 3D Sonic the Hedgehog on the Nintendo 3DS, 3D Sonic the Hedgehog 2, also on the Nintendo 3DS, Burnout Revenge on the Xbox 360, Detroit Become Human on the PlayStation 4, Horizon Chase Turbo on the PlayStation 4, and Overcooked on PC via the Epic Games Store. And that's everything I've been playing and everything that I've bought. But before I end this episode, I want to talk about the future of this series. I've been kind of struggling with what I want to make this series be, because I've actually been doing this as a blog for a very long time. I want to say since 2012, possibly 2011. And it's been a written thing. And at first I had some success with it, but viewership, readership had gone down, and that's why I've been trying to mix things up by making it a video feature. However, I have realized something from making this a video series. I should really have something that I want to talk about if I'm going to go through the hassle of recording this voiceover and then recording some game footage, editing it all together, uploading it, rendering it, and then posting it to be seen. I should really have something that I want to talk about. So I think in the future I'm going to do something very different with this series. Something about the way that the series is called My Gaming Landscape means that I can really make this be about anything in my world, in my landscape as it were, that has to do with video games should be an appropriate topic for discussion. Something that I want to talk about. And it doesn't really make sense for me to talk about a game or even write something about a game that I really don't have an opinion about, just for the sake of covering my bases of what I've been playing. Kind of like what I just did right now when talking about Darksiders. How I said I don't really have much to say other than I restarted the playthrough. So I think in the meantime, if you want to know what I'm currently playing, regardless of what it is my opinion might be, I think you need to go to Twitter or Instagram for something like that. Maybe also Facebook, but I honestly don't post that much there. And then as for My Gaming Landscape, I think I want to make this both a video and blog series, kind of like at my own discretion, and make it something where I can talk about something that I'm playing, something that I acquired, something gaming related that just happens to be happening in my life, a news story, a topic for discussion that may have come out, anything like that. Just something that's in my gaming landscape. So I think I'm going to change the show to be a little more focused on one thing rather than trying to talk about everything that I've been playing and not having some things to say about some games as a result. Also, at the same time, it allows me to just do more on social media, as I can just always get my gut reactions out there without having to be thought through like this is, despite the fact that this has a very casual kind of tone. It's not very professional like I would do for a review or something that I write, or possibly make a video of. It's something else that I want to do. Basically, I'm saying is I want to change the series into something that's a bit more substantial and kind of warrants the kind of work that I have to put into it for it to be made. So there's not going to be a set schedule anymore. It's not going to be about what I've been playing or what I've bought and picked up and added to my collection. Nothing like that. I used to even talk about some other gaming stuff that happened to me before when it used to be a blog post, but that's not going to be included either. So just in the future, keep an eye out for My Gaming Landscapes, because it's probably going to be something very different than what it's been. And for just what I've been playing, just look at my Twitter or my Instagram. And maybe My Gaming Landscape if I have something substantial to say. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for listening. Be sure to let me know what you've been playing in the comments below, as well as any pickups that you've acquired. And I'll see you in the newly revamped gaming landscape sometime in the future. Peace and love, gamers and players. Colorwind out.